Welcome back to First Take. The news everyone is talking about. The Cowboys traded four-time Pro Bowl edge rusher Micah Parsons to the Packers yesterday in a shocker. Here is Dak Monday remaining confident Micah would be on the field for the Cowboys Week 1.
I've got confidence. I've told y'all that way back when. And I'm just going off of experience, honestly. No different than mine, so I've got confidence in that. Just hoping, which I know he is, he's ready to play.
All right, is this the beginning of the end of the Dak era in Dallas, Cam?
I think if I'm Daquavius Prescott, I'm looking at this situation in a very much different light because, number one, if you are willing to talk to teams for your superstars, what does that mean for me? All right? And there's not a team that has more leverage than the Dallas Cowboys with having these picks that they can use at their disposal to acquire different talent. So I'm looking at it in a way where, hey, well, Jerry has openly said that he's not looking to consider trading Micah Parsons. So much so that everybody in the locker room didn't think that this was even possible. Well, now, what do you say to your superstars? What do you say to Dak Prescott more than anything? But what do you say to CD? What do you say to everybody else that, hey, everybody has value and everybody has a price. And if that price is not worth me, then I can get what that value is from somebody else. And that's what it, means for Dak.
Dan, what do you think it means for Dak? Is that era over?
This is the beginning of the end for Dak Prescott. Yes. Honestly, I feel bad for Dak Prescott in a way because of the circus that we have seen play out in front of us. Here's the reality numbers-wise. If I'm accurate, Dak Prescott's cap hit next year is at $75 million. In 2027, he's at $68 million, and then 68. So while you sit there and go, them moving on from Micah Parsons is in many ways, football-wise, making your football team a lesser unit and therefore less competitive. But there's a financial reality of if they trade him, what would be the cap hit and how much can they get back in regards to Dak Prescott. There's a no-trade clause, I believe, still that he has to sign off for. So, because, and this is why, Cam, as much, when you say Dallas won the trade, the only way that Dallas truly wins this trade is if they use what they got to go start a new run, a real new run. And the only way that happens is a new young quarterback. Because the financial commitment that they have to Dak and CD is what it is. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It is what it is. And so the only way to do that is to go get a new, young, cheap quarterback that is a superstar. And everyone's going to go Arch Manning. You ain't getting him at 30, where your pick is going to be, or at 28. And so it feels that way, football sense-wise, but there's a salary and numbers-wise that you just sit there and go, they are just in a very, very financially tough situation in the next 2 or 3 seasons.
Go ahead, Cam. I'll let you go.
I'll say something real quick. And it's funny. Yeah, it's funny how history, repeats itself. We've seen this happen for both franchises. The Dallas Cowboys with the Herschel Walker trade, right? And then you have the Green Bay situation where they acquire a guy like Reggie White, right? I think when you say who really won, only time will tell realistically on both sides here. So when I'm looking at a Dallas situation, you can pretty much get worst case scenario, you can get a new quarterback because what are you willing to offer him? You can offer up to 4 draft picks to get a franchise quarterback with that situation. And that's why I will be fearful if I'm Dak Prescott, right? Because if you do not play well, then you're pretty much going to be disposable for anybody else to be acquired for Dallas.
I just want to say to America, I think this conversation is very, very cute. I really, really do. It really, really is. It touches me. It really, really does. What Dak era? What era?
No, don't be.
What era? Did we just not, I'm sorry, Dan, did you just not sit on national television and say that Micah Parsons was the best player in the franchise?
Oh, he was.
Yeah, he was the best player, right? So he was there over the last 4 or 5 years, right? Last 4 years, he wasn't even the best player on the team. I know that he got the highest salary. You understand? I mean, do you know, Cam, that the first 4 years of Dak Prescott's career, the brother didn't miss a damn game and made close to $5 million. But since that time, he's missed nearly 40% of his games, and he's collected over $260 million. This is what we're talking about with Dak Prescott here. It takes, and you would know, sir, Cam, because, you know, you played in the Super Bowl, you know what I'm saying? Y'all had the #1 seed, right? Correct me if my math, because I want to make sure my math is a math, all right? I just want to make sure I'm clear. Don't you have to win a divisional playoff game and a conference championship game to get to the Super Bowl? That's 2, right?
Yes, sir.
And if you're a wild card team, ain't it 3?
Yes, sir.
Before to get to the Super Bowl, right? This brother is entering his 10th year. He got a total of 2 playoff wins. Dak Prescott era? What era? It's the Jerry Jones era. Let me tell you why it's the Jerry Jones era right here, okay? And I know we got to get ready to go to break, but damn it to the producers, hold on. I got something to say. Now, I got some numbers here, right? Do y'all know, you know Dallas is worth $13 billion, right? Yes, you know, $2.5 billion more than the second place team, the Los Angeles Rams, right? The Cowboys are the NFL's most valuable team for the 19th straight year. Oh, by the way, they collected $800 million in purely local revenue just last year. Did you know that? It's true.
I did not.
This is the truth, right? Oh, by the way, estimated revenue, $1.2 billion in 2024, almost $500 million more than any other team. And oh, by the way, last but not least, operating income of $630 million. Dallas made more in profits than 19 teams made in total revenue last year. Cam, this is who we talking about. So if it ain't Micah, then it's Jerry. What? Dak Prescott era. What era? What is it? You tell me what I just gave you facts.
Okay.
I gave you facts.
All right.
Okay. Now he's 30 games over 500 as a starting quarterback.
That's an error.
During the regular season.
There's an error
During
to
the
that.
regular season. 2 playoff victories, though. I'm sorry.
We gotta
Is
go.
it just me?
So, Dan,
Is it
you're
just
saying
me?
it's the beginning of the end of the Dak era, and Stephen A. still waiting for the Dak era to start.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Just
I
want
mean,
to make sure we're
they
all
won as
clear.
many games as anybody in the regular season. for 3 years.
You know what? Yeah,
The
hold on.
regular season
Molly,
award?
Molly,
Is
let
that
me
what we're doing now?
Let me have Molly, right?
I know.
Yeah, the
That's what
Dallas
we're doing
Cowboys
now.
are going to be a threat. There's only about 7 or 8
In the
teams better
regular
than them.
season. All right, we got to leave it there. Coming up,
That's what he
Stephen
said,
A.
Cam.
and Michael.
That's right. Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons, the divorce has happened. He's on his way to Green Bay. And there's a ton of reaction all morning long for this. There's a lot of residue from this, a lot of ripple effects as we go across the NFL and the NFC specifically with this. But first, let's break down the Dallas Cowboys of it all, guys. We need to talk about how we arrived at this point. This was a very messy road to get here. Micah and Jerry had a conversation back in the spring where Micah thought that they were allegedly talking about leadership. Jerry Jones thought in that meeting that they had talked contract and that they had had a deal. Micah said, whoa, 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 my representation, David Mulligetta, hasn't been involved in this. Let me get him into the fold. Jerry said, I don't think so. I'm not dealing with the agent. And that spawned an incredible back and forth between the two parties that arrived in the inevitable divorce. But Jerry Jones has been pretty steadfast, guys, especially earlier this month, that he wasn't going to move on from Micah Parsons, that he wasn't going to trade him. Well, yesterday, he and Stephen Jones had a press conference after the deal went down, and Jerry was asked about those comments, saying he wouldn't trade Micah. Here's what he had to say.
You had said a couple weeks ago in an interview with Stephen A. that you were never considering trading Michael Parsons. Was that a tactic at the moment, or did your tune eventually change in the last couple of weeks?
Do you really think if I wanted someone to be interested in him that I would say, oh, I'm going to trade him? It's the opposite. It's the opposite, of course. And I thank you for writing it. I really do.
Courtney, back on August 2nd, Jerry said he's not going to trade Micah Parsons. He called Micah's trade request, quote, just a part of a negotiation. And he said, one thing I would say to our fans, don't lose any sleep over it. Well, I'm sure a lot of Cowboys fans lost some Z's last night after they found out Micah Parsons was leaving Dallas. But, Courtney, your reaction to Jerry saying that this was all part of his master plan?
I mean, it's a convenient excuse right now. It's easy to say that and be like, look, I'm a master negotiator. Of course, I'm not going to act like I want this guy out of here because I'm not going to get the return that I want. But The second part of that, I think, is the worst, where he told Cowboys fans, don't lose any sleep over this. You told your fan base, trust me, I'm going to make sure that this guy stays here. The team will be fine. The best defensive player we've had in recent history will be in the fold. You lied to your fans. And I understand sometimes that comes with business. Sometimes that comes with strategizing how you can get a good return for players. But knowing the ego of this all and knowing how Jerry Jones operates here, he doesn't trade players of Micah Parsons' caliber out of the building all that often. It's happened one other time since he bought the franchise in the late 80s. And, I think he's just trying to rationalize it however he can to make himself sound like, oh, look, I was a step ahead. Look at me playing 4D chess. I said I didn't want to trade him because I wanted to run the price up, and I got 2 first-round picks back in return and a player. He obviously didn't want it to come to this because you're not a better team when Micah Parsons is not in your defense. I think the way you can rationalize it, the way that you can look at this and say, all right, well, it might work out, is the picks that you get back in return. And Dallas, after all these years, can finally start to reset this roster and not keep trying to force it through and say, okay, we're a real contender this year. Not with the state of the division right now, not with the state of the NFC right now, certainly not the team that you just sent Micah Parsons to. And, I think he's grasping for straws because he's got to make himself sound like he won this. And very clearly right now, in the short term, he didn't. Long term, we might be talking about something completely different. But to say that he was, trying to not make this happen, then all of a sudden he does, and then calling us all fools for thinking that he was not telling the truth initially, what? That doesn't make any sense.
Myron, you buying it?
No, I'm not buying anything. I think he thought the power of the star would work again, right? Eventually, CeeDee Lamb, Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott, eventually they worked things out in Dallas. And I think that's what he expected, I think, with Micah Parsons. But I think he essentially was calling Micah Parsons a liar. I think that's where this all started. He was saying, we had a deal, and you reneged on the deal. And I thought Micah Parsons felt like that was too far, and he didn't want any part of what Jerry Jones was offering after that.
But what I can never understand, getting back to the beginning of all of this, is why Jerry Jones would be averse to having an agent be involved in any contract negotiation. Players employ the agent to protect them. Players employ the agent to get involved in these matters. Why would Jerry think that in any conversation, whether it was a handshake agreement, a head nod, a verbal agreement, whatever, that an agent wouldn't have to sign off on this?
Because it's a power play. Because Micah's one of his 1%ers. He's his Emmitt Smiths. He's his Michael Irvins, where when you are that caliber, you're not the right guard, you're not the number 2 wide receiver. It's, hey, son, come here. We're going to do this between us. We don't need an agent stepping in trying to drive up the price. I'm going to give you my best offer. You're going to agree to it. It was a power play that failed on him because it's worked just about every other time.
It certainly did fail because now Micah Parsons is on his way to the Green Bay Packers. And Jerry said his fans shouldn't lose any sleep. He probably didn't because yesterday it was announced that the Dallas Cowboys